And hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fed Up with me, Fed Up Gaz, the eternally miserable one. Joining me today are Hooked Llike Helen, Nikki, and John.
Yes.
And for those that may not have heard the band before, could you please introduce yourselves? You know what you do and what instruments you play as well.
Yeah. So we are Hooked Llike Helen, and I sing and I play piano, keys, and John plays guitar sometimes, mostly bass on stage.
Yeah.
And it's the two of us, and we've been writing music forever. And
Right.
we just started touring just this year. So we also have a guitar player and a drummer that play with us live, Connor and Heather, respectively. And we do kind of mixed genres a little bit. Have kind of messed around with lots of different sounds, but we're pretty much alternative always, and we're leaning more into alternative rock as we're releasing some music and continuing with our touring journey.
I noticed that when I was listening to your music, I thought this is quite hard to really put in one genre, because there's the song that you recently did the video for, Fraud, which has definitely got kind of that blend of, bit of heavy metal there, rock and alternative, all mixed together. And then there's other songs as well, which in my limited knowledge, a lot more. I mean, there's still the mellow edge in Fraud, but the other ones definitely have that more harmonious, melodic edge. There's one in particular which kind of, it almost felt like a musical score, and that was, I think it was the video Liar.
Yes.
And that had a very cinematic edge as well. So I thought, just on my first impressions, I thought, I don't know how to describe this, because it seems to be all over, and that's a good thing, because that obviously must keep things open for you I can't speak today. Creatively.
Right.
Blaming training. That's why my mind's a little martial artist.
Nice.
So yeah, but that must keep it interesting, because then you can keep changing up. And I think as well, from the perspective that you write from, to very deep, personal, meaningful lyrics from life experiences, that must keep it interesting for you, rather than, we always have to just stick to this one avenue all the time.
Right. Thank you. Yes, it's definitely from the heart always. Definitely mean it, you know what I mean? For good or bad, whatever it is, it's always the truth as far as what we're saying and what I'm singing about and we're doing musically. But since John and I, when we started this project, we had just moved to Ohio from LA. So we were in a big music city, and then all of a sudden we were in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And so we really focused on just home recording. We had a small home recording studio set up, and just kind of honing that craft, and then kind of branching out into just writing music for film and television. So like you were saying, like the cinematic things. So we were just kind of learning how to do that. And we were focusing on just, when you're writing that way, you're writing for something else, for a bigger piece of art, and you're having to do what they're asking of you, and you're having to do whatever genre it requires at the time, whatever mood it requires, whatever the director's vision is, whatever. So we were kind of just at the mercy of that. It was actually really cool and satisfying to write in that way, and to just sort of be like, oh my gosh, now our music is part of this thing. And Liar, one of those where it took on a whole other thing, because it was part of that independent dance film called High Strung Free Dance. And however, in just this past year of us getting to tour, we're now kind of doing sort of well, what is our vision and what do we want to do? And when we're live, we love to rock, and we love the higher energy, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how the evolution has progressed the way that it has. And I feel like, all artists evolve, and you have to, but that's kind of just been the path now. So it was a little more pop and a little more adult contemporary in the past. And then we're kind of just shifting into.
As we get into playing live, we're getting more rock and more rock and more rock.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's good, I think, as you rightly said, you're adapting for the situation. The rock and high energy certainly goes with playing live. Definitely when it's for the more bigger ends of the scenes there, if that director has that vision, say, no, this is what fits, this is what I'm requiring. I've noticed as well, just some general observations on music since post-COVID. We are now, I think this music has always been around, but we're now seeing a lot more. I think loosely, I guess, putting the alternative tag on them, but even from the electronic music scenes like dark synth, dark techno, where people are fusing all these different elements together. There's a UK band called Nova Twins that are kind of a mix of metal, hard rock, and alternative, kind of like Prodigy inspired, I guess. And this seems to be coming more at the forefront. And I think it's probably because everyone's gone through such a nightmarish period during COVID, and we're still dealing with the effects of that. People just want to hear music again. And it's leading to people such as yourselves who are saying, right, we are drawn from all of our lived experiences, but we're going to incorporate these sounds as well, also to keep evolving. So that's been one of the positive aspects, I guess, that's come out of COVID. I can't believe I'm sat here saying this, but just to take it back to your recent single and video Fraud, though, this one I found very interesting, even just from the artwork, because it matches the theme of the song, because you see those theater masks being removed from someone's face, and there's the nightmarish skull behind. And I thought that was quite a good visual representation for what the song is about. As you say in the lyrics, a chameleon, it's the person hidden behind what they are presenting. And I think those can be some of the most monstrous people, I guess, where nobody sees it. Everyone thinks, right, this is a cool person, nice person, but you don't know what is actually behind them. And as they say, once the veil is removed, all that mask, and it tends to be, and I'm going on a tangent here. I said I would behave, and I will in a minute. Don't worry. I'm terrible. I know. I need to put that as a disclaimer on the show.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
The show.
It's a warning. But it's almost, if you're not the person who's experienced that or lived with that person, it even can be closed off to family members and close friends who think, well, what are you on about? This isn't that person. So I'm curious, who did the artwork for you to get that feeling in the cover? Because it really shines through.
So thank you very much. And you're actually the first person that's brought up that artwork since we released it. So I'm literally over here looking at
Just put you on the spot.
Because what it was I was Googling images, and this, okay, here we go. It's by an artist named Ars Sophia, and I believe they're in the Netherlands, but the name of the painting is Fraud. And so it came up, and it immediately struck me. And I was like, it depicts exactly what this song is about. And we were able to license the song through a website that they had put their artwork on. And we didn't painting. What did I say? Song. Oh, license the artwork, license the piece, the painting. So we didn't actually get to interact with the artist ourselves. It was all through the third party, through the licensor. We were the licensee of the painting. And they did give us permission to do a little bit of artistic liberties as far as we changed some of the colors and stuff just to match like our branding or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was, I just thought it was so cool. I thought it was like perfect. And exactly what you were saying about
that is the perfect image for the song, for sure.
Yeah, and the song is about, people who, there are people who still think that person is really great and awesome and whatever, and don't know the real person behind it, who they actually are.
So would it be safe to say then it is a song that also could be applied to narcissism? How that person presents themselves, as we said, to be something they're not, and the covert narcissist, what is happening behind. It's if you've gone through an experience such as that, or know people who have, it's not an easy thing even to talk about and to certainly write. So was this a difficult song to write, with that being said?
Yes. And it's one of those situations where like we actually kind of feel like we can't even get too specific about who it's about.
Yeah.
It's somebody in the music industry.
Some people haven't seen the mask unveiled yet.
Right. Yeah. And it's someone who like we no longer work with, and whatever. But and there's more than one person that we could actually apply this to, because the music industry is kind of filled with these narcissistic type people.
They're everywhere.
You know, yeah, and they are everywhere. They're probably in all kinds of industries, but you know, just that sort of like larger than life and big promises of things, and just being completely not only not who you said you were, but actually your intentions are pretty bad. You know.
Yeah.
What you have to deal with, you know.
Yeah, and what I've noticed as well, this conversation has been coming up quite often with people in music at the moment, and people as a whole. And I don't know if this is maybe something with COVID, you know, when everybody was locked in, and if somebody was with a person like that and they're then having to be with them 24/7, there's no escape at that time. And I've noticed all genres are, even death metal bands, they wrote an album all about it. Now I'm Live, I forget the name of them, so I'm sure they'll really appreciate that. Oops. Yeah, there's another one, guys. Just forget us. Yeah. But it seems to be look, it's probably an issue that's always been there, and as you said, music always will be. But I think it's become a little more prominent because, I mean, we heard about some of the horror stories with domestic abuse going on in COVID as well, both to men and women. I mean, yeah, we always, and I'm not saying it doesn't, you know, women don't suffer at all, but I think the media sometimes forgets that men also can be the victims of abuse.
Yes.
And it's truly horrifying. Some of the things I was reading, you think you wouldn't think somebody would do this to somebody that they're supposed to love. And it's so getting back though a bit onto the song. So the lyrics, again, they're very universal, relatable. Again, people that have gone through that experience or know people that are dealing with that at the moment, or not everybody may be aware of that. I feel, you know, my opinion, that it adds some grain to the song for that reason. It gives it that little bit of oomph. So I'm curious, what has the feedback been like from your fans, and to playing the song live as well?
Live, it's been amazing.
Great. We had our first tour ever just in April and May of this past year when we opened for Icon for Hire. And so we were playing a whole bunch of music that was unreleased at the time, and much of it is still unreleased. And the feedback was on that tour, Fraud was a fan favorite. Like it was the energy was great from the crowd, the feedback. They were all like, oh, when are you going to release that song? So that's kind of why we decided to go with that song next, was just like, okay, this is what the people want. So it's been cool to have that feedback now since it's been released, of just like, yes, I was waiting for this. And like, it was, you know, we had changed it up a little bit in our arrangement for the recording from what it was live. You know, you got to change some things, but it seems like everybody's been receptive to the stuff that we've done with it.
That's fantastic to hear. And as you mentioned, in arranging the song, there was a part I noticed at the beginning of the song, and then about just after 2 minutes on the song as well, you have, and I'm going to do my best to describe this, so disclaimer alert again, if I butcher this, I apologize. You have these kind of like, it's like, imagine like a bum, 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 like church-esque choir vocals in a way in the background. And I thought that was at the start, a really subtle introduction of, it kind of provides that haunting edge, again, the themes of the song, that, look, there's something sinister lurking beneath the pretty surface. And then it comes in again halfway through that is like a reminder of, it's the nerd in me, I always notice things like this. And it's kind of reminding people that there's a meaning behind this song, there's something there. So I'm curious, did you both, you know, purposely arrange it in that fashion to have that effect on people?
It kind of progressed slowly. We collaborated on this song with Skid Mills, who's really awesome producer, and he had written a string part that was all of those parts stacked up. And then we were just like, well, what if we stack the vocals on that and turned a string arrangement into a vocal arrangement? Because a lot of our music is kind of vocal based when it comes to the arranging, just because like when I was first starting to record at home. I wasn't confident in a lot of different instrumentation, but I was like, well, I can use my voice, you know, to make things sound cooler or fuller or more modern in the production. So it just made sense to just go there with it. And so I just stacked like probably, I don't know, I think it was like 40 different vocal tracks, just because
Wow.
I'm doubling and tripling each of the
Yeah.
parts. And then there's all these different parts. And we were just kind of trying to go with like something that was like eerie, you know, and
Very,
just
yeah.
Because
this is
in a lot of our past music, there's parts where it's like haunting and, like you said, almost like church-esque, but like dark feeling, like that we in something plain, and like that's kind of one of Nikki's strong suits, is to like go all operatic and make it seem creepy and haunting. So this one just happens to have been a string part that you did with your voice.
yeah.
But like you've done things like that in the past.
Yeah,
on
just
different
using
tracks.
the vocals to just be an instrument, basically.
Yeah.
You know? And so we thought that would be cool. Like you were saying, just kind of because there's two sides to the song. There's the side of like, oh yeah, I'm calling you out and I'm like powerful and angry, but then at the end of the day, I'm still terrified.
Yeah. It's got that duality, even, and I hope this isn't insulting, like a creepy carnival in a way, you know, where they've got like the theater and the show, and you hear that melody, and then they'll add something haunting in there, and you think, oh, this is quite sinister. There's something scary behind this. So that instantly grabbed my ears. And another thing as well, be people thinking, here he goes again, nerding away.
I love it.
I absolutely love it. That's how I would hope you would feel.
Yeah.
So
well, thank you, man.
Yeah.
I'm like this with everything, man. With music and films, I always see that I guess all the Easter eggs, all the hidden meanings, and I'm just the same if I bumped into you both in the street, be like, oh, on this song I noticed this. Is this the reason why?
Yes. Yeah.
Just know. I wondered as well. The video is shot in red, and what I was curious about is this, and I know you have the condition, Nikki, chromoesthesia. Have I pronounced that correctly?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Right.
I think so, chromesthesia, something like that. But yes.
And I find it very interesting reading about this. It says that, you process sound as color. So I've got a loaded question here for you. How has this impacted on your creative process? And the second part, because the video is shot, and it's all in red, I wondered, is that in reference to how you see sound?
Yes. So I love that question. The first part, how does that affect my creative process? Especially when I was writing music for the film and the TV stuff, it came into play big time, because a lot of times the directors they'll have like a reference track or like a song that they're like something kind of like this, and you can't just rip the song off. You can't just say, oh, what are the chords? Let's do that. But for me, I see it in color, and I see it in shapes, and I see it in textures. So I can just start doing stuff and experimenting with sounds and layering them, and especially with instrumental stuff, to where I'm like finding that shape, and I'm finding that color, and I'm finding all of that, and therefore capturing that mood, but without actually ripping anything off or copying anything. It's totally its own piece, and it's something else, but it's still giving you the feeling, the type of feeling that whatever the reference was doing. So I feel like I kind of had like an advantage. It was almost like cheating. You know what I mean? Other people are just going, okay, so what's the BPM? Like, oh, it's an acoustic guitar, so I better do that. And it goes to a minor chord, so I better do that. And then they're just listening to the worst version of whatever the reference is. And for me, I'm like, oh no. Like I just gotta see it. So that the second part of that question, fraud, is definitely very red for me, and brown, and it's got these, all these spots and stuff in it. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically when we were talking with the guy who filmed us, because that was just a rehearsal that we had, and being an independent band, we had to like make the most out of the rehearsal because it was down in Nashville with our band. So we're like, let's have our friend Josh, who's an awesome videographer, just film the whole thing and turn it into a video. And so he was like, well, what colors are we talking about here? You know, as far as for the lighting. And I was like, red, it's gotta be red, you know, which makes sense because it's a, you know, it's a more angry color associated with anger and aggression, but that's definitely what I see with that song. So
yeah, it certainly goes with the theme, and you know, and thank you. That certainly satisfied my nerdy curiosity for sure. And then moving on to the cover you did of Olivia Rodrigo's Vampire with, you know, your two of friends, Halo Scene. Now that song you see in the video, you're on the piano, you're doing the vocals on that one as well, coming through. So I wondered, was that a song that you always wanted to do a different perspective on and work with somebody on?
So we knew we always wanted to work with Holocene because we had heard about them like over a year ago when like their manager had come to one of our shows, and then we ended up becoming the same booking agency, and we were just checking them out, and they're like, they're awesome. So we started talking with them about doing a collab, and then it was their idea to do Vampire. And
we're going to be tour buddies.
Well, yeah, we around the same time. And we had never heard Vampire at that point. I think it had just come out. And so I went and listened to the track, and I was like, I love this song. Like, I love the chord changes, the progression, the lyrical theme, everything about it was like, this song's awesome. And so we have to give Holocene a lot of the credit. They did most of the arranging and the instrumentation for the cover because they're just pros at that. They take a song and then they just make it heavy and make it big, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what they did. And, you know, we could keys and vocals and some bass for that. But we were very happy that was the song that they presented to us because we really liked it.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting take. I hadn't heard the song myself before, and even the video, and it got me thinking, no, this was on one of your videos. Sorry, this was on Liar. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting, my imagination is going crazy. I'll come back to the question I was going to ask before I get to Liar. I'm racing ahead. Sometimes my mind runs far faster than my actual mouth.
Same.
Yeah. It's like I get that to nerdy about everything. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna ask him this, I'm gonna ask him this, and I'm like, nah. Right. So calming down for a moment, which I will try and do. When I was reading the press release about yourself as well, and this really struck a chord with me, that you write about trauma, mental health. Those, particularly mental health, is something very personally important to myself as well. And I still feel that it's often got a stigma attached to it. Yes, there is more support and help there, but I still feel it can get overlooked. You know, you still can get people say, oh, well, pull yourself together. There's often people who can be struggling, but they are good at hiding it as well. And I feel our veterans are also forgotten about with what they go through. So I wondered, is this something that is very important to both of you? I know it's inspiring for your fans and hopefully for new fans as well. And I've just wondered what the feedback has been and why in particular you feel it is very important as well for the songwriting too.
So when it started out, it was that's just how I write. I write when I'm in a dark place. I write about sadness. The music is the one thing that like maybe gives me some relief or some comfort, you know, expressing myself. So it's just always been kind of hand in hand, like the darker side of me and my is music too. That's just what it is. And then once we've gotten to this point where we've been putting these songs out and we've been playing them for people, having them come up and, you know, with tears in their eyes sometimes saying, hey, this song helps me, or, you know, I connect to this and this means a lot to me. All of a sudden I'm like, whoa, like that. First of all, that's the whole point. That's the whole reason to do art. You know what I mean? Is to connect with people, to help.
Agreed.
And then to have it be like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not alone. So that now helps in my healing. And then I'm also like, okay, now I feel like I owe it to people. I also feel like this gives me like so much more purpose. It gives purpose to my pain, to my mental illness,
To all the
and
crap you went through.
yeah, to all of the past traumas and everything. And so then it's just like, oh my gosh, so now it's like amplified. It's like I was already going to be writing about all this sad shit anyway, and then now it's like I get it like more. Like this is what I need to be doing.
But isn't art? It's one of the best forms of therapy, whether it's music, the writing that comes into it, even painting, because it's you can naturally get those moods out there, both the negative, the positive. Even in some hardcore bands I listen to, where yes, it probably gives some people a heart attack because it's very heavy, angry music, but it's getting those negative emotions out in a healthy way. So I people often talk about the power of music and its impact on people, but it gives you that good emotional stimulation and release, and it's a good outlet, particularly if you've gone through those experiences. I mean, there's so much when I was reading about the band and about you, Nikki, I could read between the lines, no pun intended there, and I thought, man, there's so much here, a lot to unpack, and that comes through in the music. And if that helps somebody, as you said somewhere, then that's not a bad thing, because people feel so alone who go through something like that. And I think in some cases it can be harder for individuals that maybe have always been the supporting rock for others and are used to being strong, and then something happens, they get a lot of trauma that happens to them, and it's like, how do I deal with this? I haven't been exposed to this before. It's so foreign to me. And then they'll tend to hide it even more, and everybody thinks they're fine, and no, they're not. This is a perfect segue for me to come on to Liar, which I prematurely did because I got too excited. I like the lyrics. There's a lot there. I like the video as well. The kind of the dance sequences in the film, which is portraying the emotion in the story, and the nerd in me. And I haven't seen this movie yet, but it did make me think of Black Swan, which everybody keeps recommending to me, and it's on my bucket list to watch. So I'm just curious how you chose and selected the film, because it's got everything in there in the video that perfectly matches the song.
Oh yeah. So how did it come to be as far as so I had already written the song like a couple, probably a year or two before any of it kind of happened, and like we recorded just basically a piano vocal version of it with a little bit of a string arrangement, and then we ended up seeing an online songwriting contest that you could enter for free. You just upload a YouTube video.
Nice.
So John used his iPhone, filmed me singing and playing the song. We uploaded it, and then we found out about a month later that we won the contest or whatever. And so we got to fly to Hollywood and meet the director of High Strung, which was Michael Damian's wife, Janine. And they hadn't even written High Strung's Free Dance yet. That was the sequel. But we got to have a day where we recorded with some session players. It was Matt Log and Lance Morrison on drums and bass, who were on the Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill album.
Wow.
Which was really cool because that was like my favorite album.
It's a good album, yeah.
And so they laid down drums and bass, and Michael Damian told us that like they definitely want to use Liar in their movie, but they haven't written the script yet, but they're going to write a scene around it, and it's going to have dancing.
So not only were they going to use it in the film, but they were going to write a lot of the film around it
to just make sure that it worked, which I think
it has its own scene. And that's why, like you were saying, the edit of the video, there's a scene, some cinematography that goes with every lyric. Like whatever she's saying, the next scene is shown is happening. So it was almost like it was written for the movie, you know what I mean? Because
but it was like kind of in reverse, which was like a huge honor for us, obviously, but it was also, I think, that just kind of how dance movies work, because the music matters so much more with dance.
They get the music done before they write the script.
That's how that happened.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's great. I know I don't have you for that much longer, so I'm going to jump in with some quick fire questions with you both, if it's okay.
Sure.
So first up, What, in your opinion, to both of you, makes good lyrics and good music?
Honestly, it's just the authenticity of it. Like, do they mean it? You know what I mean? It's everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to fit into a certain formula, but it's just got to have the emotion.
My answer was going to be passion, so I'd say that's about the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes you can get those musicians or singers where they're not necessarily bad, but as you're saying, there's no emotion and passion, and it's literally this one. It's thinking, that's it. I want you want a bit something more there. What's tangible?
You can tell they don't mean it. You have to tell they freaking mean what they're saying.
Right.
And then that's what makes it special.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious, Nikki, which songwriters or writers in general have influenced you or caught your attention?
Okay, so I think that 21 Pilots write such great songs. I think that they just write such good music. Growing up, some of my favorites were like Carole King, Michael Jackson. Mariah Carey is an incredible songwriter on top of being such an amazing vocalist. Nirvana, honestly.
Yeah.
I really like. But as far as modern, I think Sia is incredible. What's his name? Is it Ryan Tedder from One Republic? He writes all these songs for all these people. So versatile. Yeah, there's a lot.
On the spot question. So are there any other concepts and themes that you would like to explore with future music that you both may have not done already?
Maybe one day we'll get political.
Oh, yeah.
Not right now, though.
Yeah, no shortage of inspiration for that, is there, sadly?
Maybe one day.
Like, maybe one day when we, like, you know, if we reach all the goals that we want to reach and we feel like we're solid enough that we can't just get canceled, we would like to help society in that way.
Yeah. That's why I think, you know, with some of these legendary punk bands, or say that had retired and come back, I'm like, yeah, you could like do a career forever with what's happening at the moment. Sadly,
no shortage of that.
So. Yeah. What would be the most frustrating thing about music, and you most enjoy, and how do you balance that with family life as well?
The most frustrating thing about music is like social media. It's like it's a gift and a curse. You know, there's a lot of stuff that seems like it just went viral, but it really kind of didn't. And so now we're having to compete with that stuff that's got money behind it and whatever. We have to post every single day. That's frustrating.
It's a lot.
But it's also beautiful because we can connect with people from all over the world. I mean, the internet is how we were able to have our amazing experience with Liar and the dance film. So like, it's frustrating, but it's also a really, really good thing. So I don't mean to totally knock it.
Yeah, without the internet, we'd have been screwed. I mean, we came to Ohio, and without the internet, we could have never got our stuff out there.
Right. So you know, but it is finding that balance, and so that's that we are working on every single day.
It really is a double-edged sword, because it's enabled us now to have this conversation, which is great. But then we've got the negative side, what can go with social media, then the oversaturation as well, and it's and it can be exhausting. But I don't know, maybe someone will have probably done a case study who knows how to get that balance and navigate through it, I guess. So I also read that you design merchandise as well. So I wondered, do you have any new merchandise come in, or is there anything you've always wanted to create as well? Sorry for all these loaded questions. I'm like going ninja fast.
Oh no, I like it. So our necklace that I'm wearing it right now. I don't know if you can see. It's got our little logo on it, which is like a stained glass, like two flowers. One's alive, one's dead. That was a new one. We sold out so quickly of these little beaded bracelets that we had that said "Hooked Llike Helen" that our son helped to make. So we have more of those coming. I think in the future we want to have hoodies. Those are just kind of overhead in the hoodies. They're been kind of expensive, so we wanted to like make sure we had the money. Hopefully next tour.
Like vinyl. Like vinyl as well. A lot of bands have been mentioning vinyl on the shows, but that's stupidly expensive. I mean, the artwork looks so sick, but it's just the budget constraints and everything. So very, very quickly to others before we get into do some shouts. Another loaded question, two-parter. What do you both enjoy and like outside of music? And the second part of this question is, what other music do you both enjoy?
we both enjoy kickboxing.
Hey.
Yeah, we don't actually fight people, but just do it as a workout.
Yeah, like the
Yeah,
cardio.
it's awesome.
The heavy bag downstairs.
Yeah.
We really love working out. It's like really helped our mental health, honestly, and being
definitely.
It's just everything, like with my anxiety and stuff like that. And then what was the second part of the question?
Yes, sorry about that. I've loaded question special and limited time. It was what other music do you both enjoy?
Oh, I mean, all of the bands and artists that I just named off as far as songwriters are like pretty much all my favorite music. I'm really enjoying listening to Paris right now. The Warning.
Yeah.
Who else?
I mean, my favorite band of all time, and they still going strong, is Green Day. I love Green Day.
Consistent.
Yeah, they got me started. Man, I don't know. There's tons of good stuff out there.
Yeah.
I really like Hailstorm.
Yeah.
And Hailstorm is awesome right now.
And then we also like a lot of music that's not anywhere near our genre. Like we also really like Run the Jewels and Kill Mike.
Hey, it keeps it open and keeps it fresh.
A lot of hip hop.
Yeah, definitely a hip hop. And that dark electro crossover that you're getting with hip hop as well is pretty awesome, especially in working out. So I best behave myself because I know you've got to go, and especially when you mentioned kickboxing, I'd have gone on a martial arts tangent with you both. You could obviously see in the background.
Next time.
Yeah, we have to come back.
Or definitely next time, definitely do a deeper dive as well on all your lyrics. We'll get even further and everything. I always ask this with guests as well whenever we get to the end of an episode. Is there anybody or anything you would like to shout out? And I know you have an upcoming show, I think, on the 26th as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we do. We got a show on the 26th. We have a hometown show on the 27th.
At Halo Live, Sandusky, Ohio.
Yes. And then we would just like to encourage people, if they're interested, to go to hookedlikehelen.com and sign up for our free VIP membership. And you can get some previews of some of our unreleased music.
Oh, wow.
Give us your 2 cents on what you think we should drop next.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like it. It's got that good interaction and feedback. Oh, well, folks, I want to thank you both for putting up with my nerding and random hyperness as well. I really have enjoyed talking to you. Hopefully we can do this again at some point. Keep doing what you're doing. Good positive message. That's not a bad thing in any sense. So I really respect that. Shout out to Jamie as well for hooking us all up. Greatly appreciated. Everybody have a good day. I shall see you on another episode of Fed Up. I'll put all the links in the description as well. Peace out, everybody, and take care of each other, and see you all soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You were fantastic, and we would really love to connect with you again sometime. Sorry we had to go.
It's all right. Welcome anytime. I'm going to do uncomfortable pause moments where I end the stream and people think I've been possessed, but it is Halloween month. So there we go, folks.